Yeah,
I can.
Yeah.
So you can tell when your voice goes soft or something.
Okay.
That's what I like about.
How you feeling? A little nervous?
A little bit, yeah.
You look nervous.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge talker.
But you're not a huge nervous guy either, right? You don't take me as a nervous character.
I mean, sometimes.
Really?
Well, I'm more on the manic side right now.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. That's good,
you
right?
fit right in here,
yeah,
bro.
I mean, I could sit and talk about myself for hours right now.
Good. Well, you got 48 minutes.
Right. That's perfect.
Where are you from?
Minnesota.
Oh, nice. I was born in Winnipeg.
Oh,
So
really?
we're pretty well neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring
Pretty
that
much.
mic a little closer to his face.
Like this.
Yeah.
There you go.
I move a lot.
Yeah, let it hit
so
your chin.
I'm
That's fine.
literally
We'll just move the mic.
Yeah.
Shane can reach over.
Yeah,
and
I'll
move
just
your
reach
mic.
over.
right.
Minnesota. Wow. How was that?
Cold and boring. That's why I left.
It's very cold in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I've been once in April, and it was freezing.
Yeah.
and that's not even the
Real.
cold. That's not even like
No. That's spring.
yeah. Is
Yeah.
it? There was still ice everywhere,
Of course. Yeah.
and my head was freezing. So when you have a bald head, it's even colder.
Yeah. You need earmuffs.
Yeah, earmuffs or and a hat.
Yeah. Toque. A toque. In Minnesota, we don't
So-
call them hats, but we call them toques.
And you're not from Minnesota.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Is that a
Actually.
Canadian,
That's a
Canadian
Canadian
thing?
Yeah.
All right. I call them toques.
Shane's from Winnipeg.
Winter
But you got people from Minnesota do have a little bit of a
accent.
yeah
Yeah. Hardcore.
and I guess they call it a northern accent,
Northern.
right?
Yeah.
Similar
Midwestern
to Canadians.
or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people say they don't hear it in my voice, but it's certain words. Bag for sure.
Yeah.
Bag. Is that? Are you saying bag
Bag.
Beg.
or like
Bag.
like I'm begging
Bag.
Begging for food.
or a bag?
Bag.
Still don't know what you're saying.
Right? Like I have a bag of groceries.
Yeah.
Beg. Okay, I got it wrong.
So you put an e in there.
Yep, I guess so.
Yeah.
What other words do they say?
Out.
Don't you know? Do you ever say that, or anybody in your family?
My grandpa is probably like the most like
Yeah.
Minnesota accent. Like he
Yeah.
definitely, don't you know, and
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Fargo, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
That's how they say it. Minnesota. Yeah, I'm from Minnesota.
Is that how you say it?
Minnesota. Kind of, maybe a little.
Yeah, I actually just kind of figured you were Southern California person.
Which is funny because that's what I got a lot through school. My nickname was actually Laguna Beach in
Really?
high school. Yes,
that's
it
cool.
was because I head to toe in like Hollister, which I mean, looking back on it is so embarrassing. But I used to do like 2 polos and I would layer them and then pop the collars and, flip flops even through winter. And like, I guess, people just thought I was from Southern California.
Well,
so
and I was going to say, when I saw you walking through the torrential downpour in your shorts and tank top, that you were Palm Springs ready.
Yeah, I do have
You
to
know?
clarify. I do live in Palm Springs, and when I left there this morning, it was nice and sunny.
Was it?
Yes, yes, it was.
Well, welcome to Orange County.
Yeah.
So as soon as I left the valley, of course, it was torrential
Yeah,
downpour, and
yeah.
I'm in my short sleeves, but
I thought that's just how you dressed all the time. I was like, maybe that's just how
That's
he
what
does
I
it
thought
in the
too.
rain.
That's
Does it in
wintertime. I was thinking snow. This guy's just going with
yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, living in Palm Springs, especially in the summer,
Oh,
is
yeah.
so extremely hot.
Extremely.
Yeah, shorts and a polo.
Yep.
I remember the first time meeting Chad, I was so nervous, and I was wearing my shorts and polo, and he had mentioned my outfit. Of course, they're all in suit and tie,
Right.
and look all nice. And I
Yes.
was all like, "Oh God,
Casual.
I've gotten a couple of things like people have come in to do the podcast, either like an employee or a client of the Infinity Group, and they're like, "Oh, but I'm going to see the big guy." But this is just a podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just the
Right.
regular guy,
Podcaster.
podcaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did think about just coming in like sweats and just chill. I was already kind of like nervous. So I was like, I just want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
being PR representative, I felt I needed to show my best self. So
course.
I put on my polo.
So yeah, tell us about yourself.
Childhood.
Yeah. Oh, childhood.
Start
Go
there.
right into
Yeah,
it.
let's start right there.
Well, yeah. So I was born and raised in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and born in Minneapolis, and then raised in Anoka, Minnesota, which is like 30 minutes north of the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
So kind of smaller, conservative town. And it was interesting. I graduated from a suicide contagion area that the state of Minnesota had deemed it a suicide contagion area after 8 student suicides took place in my school district alone.
Oh, wow.
Most of them were linked to LGBT bullying. So me being, well, obviously when I was in school, I wasn't out. But yeah, it was not an easy experience. It started pretty much right away in first grade. A lot of name calling. I think one thing that I was most nervous about was hearing my own voice, coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
I knew I'd have to hear it.
You sound great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
thank
sound really
Yeah,
good.
you sound really good.
That was the one thing that like clocked me, no matter if I played sports or, no matter how straight I tried to act, it was my voice that always, people were like, oh, are you gay? Because I sounded more feminine, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was mostly it. I mean, just because of the way that I talked, I was immediately targeted. Gay, fag, he, she, just like a bunch of stuff that I didn't even, comprehend really. I was still so young. A lot of the bullying came from older kids, so I'm guessing they had a better, grasp on these terms. But me, I was just a kid. So
Right.
it was difficult trying to, fit in and everything. I think I had to figure out like how to, do what I had to do in order to survive. And a lot of that, wasn't healthy coping mechanisms.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, it didn't start in elementary school. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm a little manic. I feel like I'm like bouncing all over the place. So
we'll guide you.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll guide you.
So I would say, like I said, in like first grade, that's obviously when it started. And I would go to the principal's office and, try to have something done. But nothing ever really, came about it. And the bullying and harassment continued. I think third grade is when I started to realize that, nothing was really going to change. Now I know more as to why it never changed. But at the time, I didn't know. And this was in third grade. I was in the principal's office again. And my third grade principal's advice to me was that if I am gay, being called names is just something I'll have to get used to.
Wow.
In third grade, so 8 years old, I think. Which is, like I was 8, like let alone how am I supposed to know like if I'm gay or not? Like at that point, like I'm just trying to like learn, I guess.
Survive.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think it was just bad advice in general. I think maybe if I was in like 10th grade or something, still struggling with this stuff, trying to find my way. But no, third grade, just get used to it. So, I mean, I pretty much did. Like, I just came like accustomed to it. People would come up to me in the halls and they'd be like, "Can I ask you a question?" And, I already knew what it was. And like, let me guess, am I gay? No, and, that's part of how I learned how to protect myself, was, drugs, alcohol. I became a bully myself. I still kind of struggle with internalized homophobia, I think. And yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Internalized homophobia? Well, just because of the environment that I like grew up in, like I just have like I guess like an internalized fear of
Other people.
yeah,
Okay.
just the culture in general.
Yeah.
I guess maybe like it's just a little fear myself. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone around me acted like being gay was like such like a horrible,
Right.
bad thing that like inside, like it's still, even though I've done the work myself and, all of that, like it still kind of feels not that good.
Yeah, it's the same thing we were talking about the other day, because like I was bullied for being a chubby kid, and I still have like stuff in my head. The chubby kid comes up and lies to me and tells me that, I'll look in the mirror and be like, you'll never have a perfect body, you'll never be this, you'll never be that. And then I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
I don't care about that stuff anymore.
Right.
I have to like tell myself, I have to literally like challenge myself and be like, that doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, I don't care. I know that I'm a good human being, and that I, work hard on myself every day to become a better version of myself. So we were talking about that because like, even Shane was bullied for being too skinny.
Yes.
And he like actually took offense. Somebody told him, a lady told him at a swimming pool one time that you have a swimmer's body.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I would have been like, yes, I do.
Right.
Did you get that on camera?
All I heard was
Switch the
skinny.
camera. No, I'm just kidding.
That's awesome. That's good. You need more of that, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
and all you said, and all you heard was you're too skinny.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. You're skinny. And ugly. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And even to this day, when someone says, "Oh, he looks like you trimmed up a little bit," I'm going to go, "What?"
I've been, it's bulking.
Yeah, man. What the hell are you talking about? I'm not dieting.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
I can relate to
Yeah,
that stuff,
totally.
and I still internalize that, and it bugs me sometimes. But I also think that sometimes we got bullied and like we became better people than the people that like. Do you ever look back at the people that used to make fun of you and look to see where they're at right now in life?
Yeah. Definitely.
Not pretty.
Yeah.
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 No.
Yeah.
No.
So that was keep going, man. This is good stuff.
So eventually I found out, after I had graduated, I was, more comfortable with myself, and I came out, and after the suicides had happened, obviously it, was national news coverage. And so the story started to get out, and it ended up being discovered that the school district had a district-wide policy for all the staff, which was nicknamed the No Homo Promo.
Wow.
So anything LGBT related was, there was no promotion or, anything. The only thing any staff could say to anything LGBT related was to go to the counselor's office, which obviously, makes it feel like there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And so that's what had, perpetuated all of this bullying.
How was high school?
That was different. By then, I had learned what I had to do to protect myself. So I had stopped acting, singing, dancing, all things that I really did enjoy doing because it was too gay. And drugs and alcohol, hanging out with, the wrong people. Not everyone was super mean to me, which, I'm thankful for. I think one tactic that I learned was to hang out with all of the pretty girls, because then the boys would have to be nice to me.
Yeah.
So that was one of my main tactics, was to just have a...
Smart.
Yeah.
You have to adapt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what helped too was my family support. My family's always been very supportive. And I think, with some of these kids, I don't think they had that same support system, which made it a lot more difficult.
Right. Yeah, it can make it very difficult if your family doesn't support you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I've seen it, like in treatment.
Yeah.
We've as a Christian program, people come in and they drop their child off and they say, "Can you make them not gay anymore?" No. I mean, really, I have had parents say that. It's horrible,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And at that point, it's like, what do? We teach an individual to become responsible for themselves.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think, I don't know where I would be today if I didn't have my support system, even outside of family. I think one of the big things too is, work as well. I think because of my past, I think it's contributed to my mental health diagnosis as bipolar.
Yeah.
And even sitting here today, having this open, candid conversation with, my bosses and be able to talk about, my mental health and having that support as well is just, it's really cool. It started when I first started at Ken Seeley Communities. Same thing, always very supportive, always been able to talk about, how I'm feeling. I've had a couple breakdowns in the office and just being able to have that support system has really helped me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we had Ken on the other day. His episode will be released
I saw
very soon.
That's super cool.
Actually, yours might come out first because we're releasing yours on Friday.
Yes. I'm here for World Bipolar Day, which is actually tomorrow, March 30th.
Okay, so it's tomorrow?
It is tomorrow.
Oh, okay, so
I did see that. I mean, it doesn't have to be released on World Bipolar Day.
No, we're releasing it on World Bipolar Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, it's tomorrow.
All right. You got that, Michelangelo? It's good stuff.
Right?
Really good.
So you got out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
What happened after that?
I struggled for a long time. It was undiagnosed, bipolar. I didn't know what was going on. I literally thought I was, just crazy. I mean, I knew I had a difficult upbringing, not even just with school, home life. I mean, that's a whole another story for a later time. But it was tough. A lot of those bad coping mechanisms that I learned to survive in high school followed me after high school. And I struggled for a while. And then when I met my husband, he is in sobriety. He's been sober for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And
I met him. He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of set me on the right track. At that time, I was considered a normie, so I was still, partying. I was young too. I was 20 when I met him, and he was 32.
Okay.
So, he was at a point in his life where he was established, and he definitely helped me achieve that. So I think it started with college. That's when things really started to kind of flip for me. I always wanted to go to college, but because of my school situation, I never really could focus on getting good grades. So I had horrible grades. And so when I went to go apply for college, I got denied the first time because my grades were so bad. And it was disheartening, but they told me to go to community college for a year and I could transfer after that. So I did. And turns out I actually really like school and learning when I'm not being bullied and harassed. So,
yeah, right.
All A's, and I transferred to State University and got my degree. And I think, it's something that I never thought I would do. Neither of my parents went to college, and it wasn't something that was really talked about or pushed, which, is whatever. I mean, I'd rather, I don't want them hassling me to go to college, but a conversation about it, anyways.
So, just really quick.
Yeah.
Where and when did you meet your husband?
We met on Grindr. So yeah, which is quite the coincidence.
Yeah.
A lot of people are a little stunned when they find that out, because it is, for those who don't know, it's kind of a hookup app. So
Yeah.
a lot of hooking up going on. But because of where I grew up, I didn't have any gay friends, and I was actually terrified to have any gay friends. You know, I was not going to associate with that. So Grindr was how I made friends.
Were you still in Minnesota
Yes.
at this time?
Yep.
Okay.
I didn't move to California until I graduated college.
Okay.
My husband and I started coming to Palm Springs for vacation every 6 months, and kind of fell in love with it. So we started, playing around with the idea of moving out here. I mean, of course, a lot of people come out here and talk about moving out here, and just get caught up in life and never do it. And,
Right.
We talked about it, and then I graduated, and he said, if we're going to do it, now is the time to do it. That was really the only thing holding us back, was school. I wasn't going to mess with transferring credits and all of that stuff. So graduated and literally sold our house and threw away most of our belongings.
Did you hear how he said house? House.
Yeah, house.
House.
Yeah. With a Z.
Huh?
With a Z or a Z.
Yeah, in Canada they say Z.
Z with a
Oh,
Z,
really?
just like house.
So a little bit of Minnesota came out in house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where was I?
You sold the house.
Yes,
You,
you
guys
sold the house.
And then got rid of all your stuff.
Yeah, and moved to California. And I think that's what really triggered my bipolar. I mean, obviously, I've struggled with stress and anxiety and depression my whole life. But it wasn't until the move. I remember moving here. We were in Las Vegas, the last stretch of the trip, and it was something so minimal. I think we drove out here with some friends, and we switched cars. And for no reason, I guess we switched cars, and I just had a breakdown, started crying. I wanted to go back home to Minnesota, and over switching cars. And looking back, I think that was the start of, the realization that there's something more going on than what I thought. So after we had moved here, we decided to take a break for the first month. I just graduated, and we just did the move and all of that. So we just wanted to take the first 30 days to just chill. And my husband already had a job before he moved out here, with Porsche, Palm Springs. He's a mechanic, and pretty much his dream job. So he was already set and good to go. And it was my turn to find a job. And after 6 months, I still hadn't found a job. And at this point, I was abusing marijuana. And back home in Minnesota, it's illegal. And here it is not. And you can buy it. It's like a gas station. You can literally buy it anywhere, every street corner, especially in Palm Springs. It's
I've seen
everywhere.
I've seen them on my way out to Ken Seeley communities.
Everywhere, every corner.
Yep.
And so, it was like a free for all. And at this point, I think, I don't know. I'm guessing manic. Because for me, what I figured out was when I was manic, I would smoke a bunch of weed to kind of calm me down a little bit. I mean, of course, it didn't totally, dissipate or anything. But then when I was depressed, I would abuse caffeine. So I would drink Starbucks, Red Bull, pretty much anything to boost me up. I struggle with, I think they call it cyclothymic. So I rapid cycling. So I go back and forth between depressed and manic multiple times a day. Just kind of depends.
Right.
So I was just doing that back and forth, and wasn't finding a job, wasn't motivated to find a job, and just really struggling and really not knowing what was going on. And we started making friends in the area, and at this point, it was New Year's Eve, and our friends had invited us to a New Year's Eve party, and it was Ken Seeley's New Year's Eve party. And It's very well known. He throws really good parties, and
Is it Ken that throws the good parties, or is it Eric? Because we just had them both on, and I heard it was Eric.
oh really?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is
He's the
Eric.
planner. He's the planner.
Eric worked for a movie studio,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and his job at the movie studio, he planned 300 parties
Oh really?
a year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you'll hear it when his podcast comes out.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really good.
I redid his resume a couple years ago, so I did see that he worked at the movie studio, but I guess I didn't read into it that much.
I just found out. I love this because this for an hour or so, right? I get to have an intimate conversation with people about their lives, and I love it. I get to know things like I've known Ken for a long time. I've known Eric, but I never had an intimate conversation with Eric.
Right.
So it was nice, and this is great.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so you were at the party, huh?
At the party.
Yeah.
And me and my mom, we were really into watching reality TV shows together. And so I knew who Ken was. And my husband, he used to watch the show with his mom. And that's when his mom kind of like learned about addiction. She was an enabler.
Okay.
And so that was kind of, she's like watching the show and she's like, wait, like, hold up. Like, why does this,
Seems
so
familiar.
relatable.
That's so fucking a lot of families up.
Yeah. No, what it did, you said fucked them up?
Well, the dealers, the kids had them in their pockets.
Yeah.
And then,
It helped a lot of families.
well, that's
man.
what I meant, but
I know.
it brought
I
the
know.
problem to the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, show's still running. So
Oh, yeah, that's something.
Yeah. So my husband wanted to thank him for, helping him on his recovery journey. And so at the party, my husband went up and introduced himself. Me and my husband just moved here and, thank you for what you do. And Ken said, oh, no problem. And why don't you and your husband come over for game night and meet some new people? And, so we did. I think it was like the following week. On a Sunday, we went over for game night and we're sitting at Ken's dinner table and he just casually asked me like how things are going. And at that time I was trying to find a therapist and a psychiatrist because I kind of figured something was going on. But I mean, that's something to talk about is how hard it is to find a new therapist or psychiatrist. Yeah. It's incredibly difficult and so sad. I mean, he had asked me and I was telling him about my struggles of trying to find someone. And at this point I didn't know he had a treatment center. And I started having these like overwhelming somatic responses. And started like sweating profusely. And I mean, we're at like a dinner table. Like I could like feel them like looking at me like, is he okay? I'm like, I'm sure I'm like beet red, like about to cry. I'm like, why am I doing this right now?
And sweating.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Like
it's like a panic attack
pretty much. And I was like, excuse me, like I'm going to step outside. And I was like, yeah, no problem. So I step outside and I'm like outside of Ken's house, just like crying. And I'm just like, get your shit together. And so I did. And I went back inside and Ken was like, I can tell you're struggling. It's okay. I have a treatment center in Palm Springs. If you want to come, here's the address. I can get you to see a therapist and a psychiatrist, and we can go from there. I can tell you're struggling. That was a Sunday, and so Monday morning at 7 a.m. I was there at Ken Seeley Communities.
Nice.
That's cool.
And went through the admission process and saw a therapist and a psychiatrist within the first hour of being there. And after that, Ken asked me if I wanted to join group. And I didn't even know what group was, what that meant or anything. So I said, sure. And so I go into the group room and I'm sitting there listening to everyone. And even though I didn't have like a substance use disorder, I ended up staying for 6 months for treatment because they taught me that it wasn't about the substances. It was about the behaviors.
Yep.
And I had the behaviors of...
And you dabbled a little bit with weed.
Well, that too. Yeah. Well, and there was more too. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I think I figured out through, my programming that was self-medicating for my bipolar.
Yeah.
And once I started to get on medication and get leveled out, I didn't need to smoke or drink or do anything. I just felt fine. So.
That's good news.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how is it today after all of that? Because we'll go back to that. But like, how is it today? Because you said you feel a little manic today.
Mm-hmm.
But so how does that happen for you today? Since you are on medication, the manic, the highs aren't too high, and the lows aren't too low.
Yeah. So I'm bipolar 2. I've never been hospitalized. I think I've always been really afraid of my mania. Even before I was diagnosed, I didn't like drinking because when I would drink, I would be a completely different person. And I think that was a part of it. I think that was like that manic me or something, coming out where I was just like, oh, what is this? I mean, today, yeah, like you said, it's not as high, not as low, but it's still definitely a switch inside. It's weird. I mean, since New Year's, I've been more on the manic side of things.
Are you getting work done?
Am I getting work done?
No, I said manic, you're getting work done.
Yeah. Well, for what I do, I'm most of what I do is like creative.
Yeah.
So when I'm manic, I have all these great, creative ideas, and when I'm not, it's very tough. I mean, that's the opposite side of things. That's why
I feel you, brother.
When I am manic, I will do as much work as possible. So right now I have a calendar. I have each month listed out because I started a newsletter. And so I've planned ahead, as much as I can, absolutely everything, and I've, anything that I know in the future that I might have to work on, I'll like start, I don't have my backpack here, but, I have multiple notebooks in my backpack, and I'll start, writing down different ideas, different things, because I know it's inevitable. There's going to become a time where I'm just going to crash, and I'm not going to be able to do.
You're going to fall back on your notes.
Anything. And it's the notes.
Of course.
It's, the planning, all of that. And that's just something that I recently,
Good for you.
Recently started to realize that, it's, I think one thing, and I guess you can bounce back if, I don't know. Like, I feel like with substance use disorders, like if you work your programming, like you're solid. If you put your all into your recovery, like you are, you're going to be recovered. I feel like with mental health, no matter how much therapy, no matter how much medication, the chemistry inside my body, eventually something is going to get, messed up, and, I'm going to have to, fall back. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, yeah.
I believe you just more so have to just learn to manage it. And it sounds to me like you're learning how to manage yours.
Oh yeah, definitely still trying to figure out. I mean, I was diagnosed in 2019. So still trying to figure out how bipolar manifests in my life.
Yeah.
And it's been a learning journey. And if I didn't have the support of my friends and family and my, my job, I don't know.
Well, you're working on yourself too, brother. You're making notes. You're taking action to better yourself and to put safeguards in your life to have a great human experience.
Yeah, definitely. I think I realized that, this is like a lifelong journey. And so I guess I'm thankful that I was able to get my shit together now than later on in life. And now, I think it's only up from here.
Right.
So
yeah, it is. I wanted to go back to when you were in Ken Seeley community. So I wanted to hear about the different therapeutic modalities that you worked through. Your therapist. I'm curious if you did the trauma egg, and how that worked out for you, if you did do it.
Yeah. So the trauma egg, that boosted my recovery. I think that's what really, helped me the most. I mean, when everyone hears about the trauma egg at first, they're like, I'm not fucking doing that. And that was
now you work at Ken Seeley Communities now. Do you still hear that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Everyone hates the trauma egg at
Everybody
first. They're like,
does.
you're telling me I'm gonna, make this list of all this shit I've been through and then stand in a room and tell everyone about it? Like,
Yeah.
no. And then depending on, how your thing goes, there's like a wrap up. Well, mine, there was a giant stuffed teddy bear, and that was younger me, and I had to tell younger me what I needed to hear and then give myself a hug. And it was
Powerful.
It was powerful. Yeah.
What else was it?
In the moment, I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I mean, there's like 30 people in the room and they're watching me do this. I mean, I've seen people do trauma eggs before and they, go through and they do it. Me, the whole time I was just bawling. I had 45 traumas on my eggs from birth until up at that point, which I think I was like 26 or 27. Absolutely just crying the whole time, hugging this teddy bear. It was, at the moment, I was like, what did I just do?
Right.
But looking back on it, I mean, as soon as I finished up like the main trauma egg with the group and treatment, I went home and I presented it to my husband as well. And then when I went to my next therapy session, I also presented it to my therapist as well. And then I actually still have it hanging up in my office right behind my desk.
Okay.
And yeah, like I said, I think that like really is what like boosted my recovery, being able to talk about all those things. And one of the big things on there was, the school district I attended and how, not of a great experience it was. And being able to, it just felt like what Ken told me was like all of those traumas that I had, every time one happened, I built a wall up around myself. And at that point, I had 45 walls, surrounding me. And to be able to let those walls down, it felt good.
Another question for you. Prior to doing all of that, would you have been able to come in here and sit down and have a conversation about this?
Probably not, and probably not like this. I thought for sure, I didn't think for sure. I thought the possibility of me like crying like during this podcast or breaking down or not being able to do it definitely like popped into my head, and I think that would have been more of a possibility hadn't I gone through treatment. So I don't think I'd be sitting here today.
It's totally different though than when you get in here and start doing it versus what you think it's going to be before you've ever done it. Because, it was just like 2 weeks ago that I did my very first podcast ever. And I'm a shy person and I don't like speaking in public. And I had a full-on panic attack, like literally sweating like you did. I had to run. I ran out of here. I didn't cry, but I sat in front of flame broiler for 20 minutes with the air and it was a day like today, cold outside, raining, and I couldn't stop pouring sweat. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Then I came back and I sat down. I'm like, you're doing this no matter what, and you didn't just build a podcast studio to walk away from it or give it to Shane,
Right.
Yeah,
I would have took it too.
She would have took it.
Oh yeah,
like,
for
no,
sure.
you're not taking my host
I told
spot.
him.
Right.
I told him.
Well, now that I'm here, like,
Right?
I want to take it.
I know. You'll be back.
I have a 14-year-old daughter. She's like, can me and my friends come down and do a podcast? I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
Why not?
Right?
Yeah,
Post it on TikTok or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
She's hoping it goes viral.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know what they're going to talk about.
None of the kids
though.
will have stuff like this.
I don't know what they're going to talk about.
Damn, that's cool.
3 girls in a room
Yeah,
talking.
bro.
High school girls, ninth
Yeah.
graders. What are they going to talk about?
Right.
What goes on? I guess we'll find out,
Yeah.
Michelangelo. He's like, please don't do this to me. I'm doing it to you, bud.
On a Thursday.
Anyway, so yeah, how's things? How is life after treatment? How has it been? How did you get? How is life after treatment? But then let's talk about how you ended up working for Ken Seeley Communities. We'll start with life after.
Life after has been very fulfilling. Like I said, there's a lot of things that I never thought I'd be able to do that I've been able to do. I feel like I'm always super hard on myself, and don't really believe in myself. And I think going through treatment gave me that that confidence I needed in myself to be like, yeah, you can do this stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I have in my life now is like stuff that I like manifested in my life as a kid. And, you know, I don't think I'd be able to have any of it if it wasn't for my recovery and the work that I've put into it. So I feel very blessed.
We're big believers in manifestation.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like even now, you know, like there's something something that you want to do in life, you have to just manifest it.
Yeah.
You know, and it can become reality.
It usually does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it does every time. If you truly
Every time.
manifest it,
I agree.
It
I
every
agree.
single time I'm manifesting, and this is silly, right? I mean, and it's not because I want this. I'm manifesting 1 million followers on YouTube.
Yeah. At least
subscribers,
1 million.
because we're going after fentanyl crisis.
Mm.
That's the whole big reason behind this podcast. That and we want veterans to get better health care. So those are the two primary goals of this podcast. So, you know, millions our first goal, then we have 10 million, and then we have 20 million, and then we can sit in front of Congress and say, hey, we want some change here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's it. I'm manifesting that stuff, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like I guess I've always been kind of like a big dreamer, always had big dreams. And yeah, I mean, even it sounds weird, but this polo I'm wearing right now is like a manifestation. Like I said, me and my mom used to watch reality TV shows together, and there's this one reality TV show about real estate, and one of the agents' boyfriends.
I love that show. I love it.
Sam Bravo. I'm forgetting the name.
Do you know what it is?
$1 Million Listing.
I love the show. I
Yeah,
watch it all the time. Yeah.
Yes,
Josh.
yes. Yep. So
What's his name?
Josh Fleischman.
yeah.
Jewish guy.
Yep.
They're divorced now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his boyfriend at the time, which this was like mid 2000 or something, he always wore Lacoste polos.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I was like, I want to wear Lacoste polos.
Cool.
I want to live in California.
Good for you.
I want to drive a Porsche. I want to, you know, go to college and work in my degree. And I've been doing all of that.
Did you know that after the first time I met you at Ken Seeley Communities that day when I was wearing a tie and it was really hot outside, I went home later that day and I ordered a Lacoste polo on the internet, and I now have one
Really?
Lacoste polo. Yeah.
I have one in every color.
I knew that. Actually knew that because I've seen you in every color.
Yeah. Yep. So one of every color. Same with the shorts. I have the same pair of Gap shorts in every single color. I used to be really into fashion, and I thought that I would, when I graduated school, work in fashion and beauty industry. But I think it was just like materialistic of me and kind of like vain. And I think treatment kind of like showed me that there's things I care about more than that.
Right.
And yeah, totally just lost my train of thought.
It's no fun making money though. Like I don't like the vain money. I don't like vain success. Like I see someone like you've posted a guy and I started following him for a while. He's like a motivational guy. I'm not going to say who he is. But all he posts about is success. His success is working out in all the cars he has. Right. And to me, that's not really success. You know, I just don't see it that way. Like, it's like, he's like, you can have this if you become one of my coaches or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not
Is
into
this guy
that.
5 years out of prison or whatever?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
We don't have
That
to
is
mention
who
the
it is.
name. We know who it is. We both don't like him anymore.
Yeah, I unfollowed him because
Yeah,
it was
so did
just
I.
it was too much. It was
Too
too much.
much. Jail stuff.
Prison and vanity.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm about saving people's lives.
Yeah.
Like, people that are in pain and trauma. I want them to, I want to be able to help them get through that pain and trauma, and then find whatever their success is. It doesn't have to be the same as mine.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's success is different, but the one thing that would be similar to mine is once you get through all of that pain and trauma, you don't hurt anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and you're free, and you can do whatever you want, like a podcast, I can't wait till we get to like episode 100 or something, and I stop talking about the podcast like it's brand new. Like, I've been doing this 2 weeks.
That's
But it
awesome.
is new, so I'm still going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
for
exciting.
the first week, apparently all I talked about was my beard in the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my wife told me. She's like,
Stop it.
no, she didn't say stop.
No.
It. She thought she thought it was cute. When she makes fun of me like that, she thinks
Yeah.
it's cute.
That's
She's like, all you talk about is your beard in your podcast. Like,
What about your beard though?
well, it was longer.
Oh,
Yeah, and I've never. So you've did I have a beard when you first met me? I had
don't
never
think
had a beard before.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And I was like trying to catch up with Shane, and then I was like, nah, mine's too gray, makes me
Right.
makes me look too old. And I don't want to put any chemicals on my face to make it
Bad
look a
idea.
different color.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go natural, bro.
That's what I do.
Yeah. It's
It's
awesome.
natural.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. You look so young.
Yeah.
I literally thought you were like 21 when I first met you.
Same,
Yeah.
bro.
Did you think that right now when he sat
100%.
down?
Yeah,
Well,
of course.
Especially, then people see like me and Gus together, and then they really can't believe it. They're like, wait, what? Like, yes, I'm older than Gus.
Oh, I know. Gus looks older.
Mm-hmm.
Gus
and
looks-
he acts older. Like he's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he carries himself very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we were actually in treatment together.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
He's
And
got some good.
so-
I got to get him on the podcast because he's got a couple really funny stories that I've
Mhm.
heard.
Yeah, he'd be really good. Yeah.
Has he said anything? Is he watching the podcast?
He's so busy. I don't even know if he has time to.
Gus,
To
you
watch
have to watch
anything.
the podcast while you're at the gym because I know you're still going to the gym. Stop with the music, Gus, and just listen to the podcast.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, after I went to treatment for 6 months, I heard that they were going to hire Gus to do some marketing. And so I already had a degree in PR and marketing, and I was looking for my first job after college, and I went up to the executive director at the time with my resume, and I told him that I was interested and I have this degree and I want to show you guys what I can do. And he said, okay, we'll give you, I think it was 60 days, show us what you got and we'll go from there. And it's been 3 years now
Nice.
and I'm still there.
Nice.
So it's been good. It's been rewarding. Like
Yeah.
you said, it's all about helping people. And I didn't, when I was going to school, I had thought I was going to be working in a whole different industry. Not until I actually went through, treatment myself, that I was like, this feels right.
Yeah.
What Ken did for me, I want to be able to do for others. And I actually have, feel like I've always been with my struggles, like someone that people come to talk and vent. And I've always been able to, give them like advice and stuff. But now in the position I'm at, I can offer people, treatment and actual help
Right.
if they want it.
Yeah.
And, I think it's one thing to, talk and give advice, but it's another thing to be able to give action with that advice.
Mhm.
And so I think with, what I'm doing today, I'm able to do that. And yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. And you value yourself today.
I do, yes.
Yeah. I can tell because when we met him the first time, he had voiced some concerns or feelings about himself and increased his value as a person. So I just really respected when he did that in front of everyone for the first time when we met. Really stuck in my.
Were you there?
I was there.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that's
he was
right.
there.
It
Yeah.
stuck in my mind when you did that in front of everyone for the first time. I was really proud of you.
There was
a whole group of suits.
Yeah,
The
a
whole
group of
executive
suits,
team.
Yeah. Yes.
And they're like, okay, yeah, so what do you do? And I was like, well, first off,
Yeah.
I want this.
Yeah, I want this. I need that.
And Cindy was
Otherwise,
like, I like that. Like, he knows what he wants. And I was like,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's cool, bro.
Yeah. And you mean, like, even
That's
still.
a big change for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I wouldn't have, like, voiced anything
Never.
before. I
Yeah.
just would have been quiet.
Right.
Grateful for what I have. And I mean, I still am, obviously, but now I know, that, I do have value and worth. And yeah.
Yeah, good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's important.
It's been quite a journey,
Yeah.
and it's only just begun.
Well, thank God for Ken. Thank God for your partner and,
Yeah. Family,
yeah,
my
family.
friends, my
Yeah.
best friend,
Yeah, man.
Keisha.
Yeah,
I want to shout her out.
for sure.
We met in first grade, so it's been like
that's nice.
26 years.
Where is she now? Is she still in Minnesota or
No, she's in Montana.
Montana?
Yeah.
So she went right past us,
Yeah. She
right to the border.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we met in first grade because my stepdad was always like very frugal, and her mom was an art major, and so Keisha got the Crayola markers, and my cheap ass stepdad got me the rose art markers, and I refused to use the rose art markers, and so Keisha next to me with the Crayolas, I was like, "Can I use your Crayolas? Because rose art sucks." And she agreed, and she's like, "Yeah, you can use my Crayolas." And
when was this?
Inseparable ever since.
This was like in
First grade.
First grade.
Yeah. And she's been my main protector. I talked about, pretty girls, being my thing. And she has been my day one, my protector. And there's been a lot of people throughout my life like that too. In sixth grade, I've always, like with my husband, like he is very intimidating, very masculine, muscles, tattoos, beard. And so I think my favorite thing about him is the protection that he provides me physically.
Yeah.
I know if anyone, it hasn't been like it in a while, back in Minnesota, people would stare and stuff like that. And it didn't matter if someone wants to stare, like, my husband will kick your ass. Like,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
And I've never had that.
Yeah.
He's pretty badass.
I didn't have that in my life.
He's yoked.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And so that has to be one of my favorite things about him. I never had that. Well, I guess I shouldn't say I never had that. Like, I guess that was like anyways.
It feels nice.
Yeah, it feels nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone needs a sense of protection and safety.
Yeah.
It's our God-given right to have that feeling
Mm-hmm.
of safety
Right.
Yeah.
and love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend in sixth grade. His name was Nick, and he was like the size of a full-grown man, in sixth grade.
In sixth grade, yeah.
And he was also
I had a few of those people.
he was like goth, alternative, emo, whatever you want to call it. So he
Yeah.
had long black hair, he had gauges, and wore all black and the trip pants and giant boots.
Yeah.
And he was an ally of mine
That's
right
awesome.
away. And same thing. I just always looked for the biggest, baddest person in the room, and it's like, I'm going to be your friend because I know you'll protect me if I need it.
Right.
And so that's just kind of what I've always done. Even in treatment, I found the girl in there that was the loudest and the meanest, and I was like, oh, your best friend.
Shane might be the biggest, but he's not the baddest.
No.
Who is the baddest?
His brother.
True. But I'll go to the wall for you, bro. Oh, yeah. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's what we do.
We're your
Support.
protectors too.
Yeah, man.
We're on your side.
100%.
Always.
Definitely. I appreciate it. Definitely have to tell you, like, I was, I already talked about how nervous I was before, but, another layer on top of that was me coming in here and talking about, my stuff to like two straight masculine, guys. Obviously, growing up in the situation I grew up in, I didn't feel safe. So for me to come here and to have that open conversation with you guys, and for you guys to, be so receptive and supportive, it's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that you felt that way, that you felt good enough to be able to come and felt safe enough to come do the podcast with us. That means something to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Very
And like I
much.
said, I mean, being here, even talking, I mean, a lot of the stuff I've talked about myself isn't, the most positive. And so to be able to openly talk about this stuff.
Oh man, I'm saying stuff and it's going out, and every friggin' staff member hears it, and then I send out an email, right? And then I'm like, listen to this podcast. I have no idea what I said, but probably something incriminating about myself.
Oh, for sure.
At one time or another.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We got some good stuff coming out, man.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really good
this is a good
episode.
Yeah.
It's going to touch a lot of people.
A lot of people.
A
lot of people.
Very
Yeah,
much
that's what I'm hoping.
appreciated for you to come down. We'll have you back sometime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
100%.
I would love it.
Are we? Did you ever flip that thing?
No.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to see how long we've been on. 58 minutes. Perfect.
Wow.
All right.
Look at that.
Did
Right.
that feel like an hour?
No, I could sit here for like the whole afternoon. and
Yeah,
just, like,
right.
sit and
So
talk
we can too.
I
It's
know.
like, we'll get in here and then we trail off a lot, and we just start talking about
Yeah.
other stuff, random stuff, like just regular life stuff. And not everybody wants to hear that, but a lot of people like the meat and potatoes, like and I really wanted to give you the time to really talk about your story, because this is coming out on bipolar. What is it? World Bipolar Day is what they call it.
Yep, World Bipolar.
World Bipolar Day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's awesome, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming down.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having
Great
me.
story, man.
We do these on the way out.
Yeah.
That's Shane's thing. He started like 4 episods ago.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's
Yeah.
our goodbye.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
for
appreciate
sure.
it, brother.
Good
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah. It's really good, dude.